And welcome back to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. Today, I'm talking about something pretty significant in the world of cryptocurrency that actually expands upon crypto and goes beyond just the world of cryptocurrency. This has been a story that's been in the making for over 5 years, and it impacts a coin that's not talked about very much in the world, but I'm going to talk about it today. And it's a coin called Veritasium, and it's a project led by Reggie Middleton, and he was a pioneer in this space. And when he went back and read in the early days, he read the white paper for Bitcoin, and he saw the potential of it. And he first developed a concept that eventually led to the world of DeFi. And he filed patents both in the United States and internationally, and started the project called Ultracoin. That's what it was called. And then it became the Veritasium project. And then Veritasium token basically was tokenizing everything. And he patented or filed patents for what became to be DeFi. And that was, the patent basically said that the phrasing of the patent, which was very critical, which it is I think it's called zero trust transfer of value. That is what the title of the patent was. About a month ago, he was granted a patent for this in Japan. And then yesterday, he was granted the patent in the United States. Now, the reason that's significant is that now that he has the patent rights, he can go back to the SEC, who claimed, confiscated is probably the right term, 98% of the tokens. There was 100 million tokens, and the SEC argued successfully in their view, because they won at that time, that Reggie Middleton and the Veritasium project violated SEC law, and as a part of the penalty was that they confiscated 98% of the tokens. There were 100 million tokens. The SEC has 98 million of them. They were never burned. They are still in the SEC's possession somehow. I'm not sure exactly the mechanisms they're storing them, but they still exist. They have not been destroyed. I'm sure there's a wallet out there that contains them. And it's roughly 98 million. It's like 97.9. But essentially, there's only 2% of the 100 million tokens that were created are still in circulation, and they're very hard to obtain. So I want to start by sharing an excerpt, and it's heavily edited because it's from my AMA, my Ask Me Anything session with my Patreons last night. And I just want to give you an idea of the conversation that I had and some of the information that I provided, just about what's going on with the patent, what the significance is, and then I'll come back and close about it. And also, I'll let you know where I stand on Veritasium, my involvement in the project, because I do have a little bit of involvement, not a lot, but I've been an investor in the project for a long time, and I've been hodling my Veritasium, and I actually added to mine recently. But just to give full disclosure on everything, but let me give you this 5 or 6 minute clip from my AMA, and then we'll come back with the conclusion immediately after.
I know that Cliff High had mentioned Veritasium. I guess there's some news that just came out. I don't know. I just tuned in. I don't know if anybody else has touched on it.
So the first patent that was issued and approved was in Japan, which is the zero trust transfer of value between, well, that's it. It's zero trust transfer of value. But I don't know if it starts and stops with blockchain. It could go beyond that. But I think it's when two parties exchange value on a blockchain, it's certainly now a patent by Veritasium. And then today, Reggie announced that the US granted the patent. So now the US has a patent for Veritasium, owns a US patent. Now I have a US patent and a Japanese patent. So originally the DAO's instructions were go find a company that operates in Japan to find someone that's probably infringing, and hint, 99% of the coins are, because it's transfer of value. And it goes actually beyond just crypto. It goes to banks doing transfer of value. So that is significant. Hey, Jim, you're welcome for the invite. So any coin that transfers value, and the verbiage that Reggie chooses is very, very specific and on point and precise for a reason. Transfer of value doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean money. It could be information, because data has value. So any transfer of data of any form can be viewed as an infringement on the patent of that Reggie's had then applied for in 2014. So any project, I think it was the summer of 2014. I'd have to go back and look at the dates again. I think it was May 7th. But any project that did not exist before May 7th, 2014 is probably, or I'm sorry, any project that exists started after May 7th, 2014 is probably infringing on the patents. And let me give an example. Ethereum is a mining coin. Whenever a miner gets a reward, that is a transfer of value. Therefore, because there's a transfer of value between two parties, that is a patent that's now owned by Veritasium. So now any organization that they can, Reggie can go after in any form and just go after, I don't say it like that, like viciously, but try to enforce the patent and just say, hey guys, I have the patent on this. You've been infringing upon that my intellectual property for 7-8 years. You're going to owe me a fee. Cliff High in some of his older Alta reports predicted that Veritasium would be on par value of Bitcoin, meaning that a Veritasium token could be worth a Bitcoin. And Reggie's hinting that it's complicated because the tokens, 98% were confiscated by the SEC in a court ruling a few years ago. They weren't burned, they still exist. So we don't know what's happening with them, but there's only 2 million that's floating out there and they're very hard to obtain. Mostly because a lot of people are holding them that know about this, or they're on very strange, very odd places. You can find it on 1inch and you can find it on Mercatox.
Yeah.
And now what Reggie's hinted at, because it's very hard to figure out what the value of the coin is, because the coin is basically an investment in the Veritasium intellectual property. So the thought process is that the token may be used later on as a discount fee or a license to operate and utilize the patented IP that Veritasium has. So let's say Ethereum needs a license. They may need a license per number of transactions or something like that. So they may have to buy, I mean, they not want to, but they will have to buy these tokens. So these platforms, the Uniswap, the PancakeSwap, all these different platforms will have to own Veritasium. And this is like my video for tomorrow. But I'm going to be talking about Veritasium tomorrow and pointing a lot of the stuff out, because that patent is so significant and people don't realize that this is basically going to impact 99% of all crypto and a lot of electronic exchanges across the globe. I mean, talk about Western Union or anything that uses a blockchain to exchange value of any kind or any data, private blockchains, public blockchains, banks, financial institutions, Forex, you name it. And Reggie basically patented DeFi is basically the summary. Reggie patented DeFi. He patented the exchanges of value in 2013 or 2014. And he's got plenty of evidence to prove it. He's got the patents. He's been on video that there's an article today on Zero Hedge I actually just posted and I mentioned on Instagram, but it is that significant and most people don't even know about it yet because very few people, very few influencers even talk about Veritasium.
So that's the excerpt on Veritasium. It's a lot to grasp, but basically I think I saw a video from Bix Weir, and shout out to Bix because I did happen to meet him a couple months ago, and he's a very nice guy, and he's been a big proponent of Veritasium and Reggie Middleton. That's relatively rare in this space. There's not a lot of people that talk about Veritasium because it's kind of off the radar, off the beaten path, almost a forgotten coin. But now it's coming right to the forefront, and let me explain why. But first, let me tell you that I think it was last month, I was notified, I applied to be on the Veritasium DAO, and I was approved. So I am on the Veritasium DAO. Now, that doesn't give me any backstage access or anything. I am just on the Veritasium DAO, and their purpose, the sole purpose that I understand, and I have not been asked to contribute just yet because I'm relatively new at this stage, is that if I'm either asked to look at a project or if I find a project that could be or is likely to be violating the terms of the patent. Now, patents, because now they have two, we should bring it to the attention of the group and just say, hey, this particular entity, group, coin, project, whatever, business is violating the terms of Reggie's patent and like the IP that it's infringing upon it. And then Reggie's, I think Reggie's taken, he actually talks a lot on Twitter and YouTube. I recommend you follow Reggie Middleton on both. But he speaks that he's reaching out to them and just saying when it's appropriate, he'll reach out to them and say, hey, we think that you're infringing. You've been infringing for a while. And like a site like Uniswap was going to be probably on there, and even something as big as Ethereum and beyond this crypto, he'll reach out to them and just say, hey guys, you're infringing on my patent. Here's the patent number. Feel free to look it over, but we need to work out a licensing agreement. And by the way, this is where the Veritasium token comes in. If you would like a discount on the licensing fee, you will have to obtain some Veritasium token or tokens. It could be, this is all pure speculation at this point. Reggie's working all this out. The patent was literally granted yesterday. So I'm sure Reggie's very, very happy because it's been a long, long struggle. But this extends beyond just crypto. So anything with a blockchain, it's the actual patent. And there's a 2-page document that Reggie produced that showed that this is a transfer of value on any distributed ledger. And as I read over this yesterday, after my AMA, it never ends. The AMA was late last night, and then I continued on looking at Veritasium because the price was just soaring. So the demand is there. And the question is always, why? Why is the demand there? Well, any exchange of value on a distributed ledger, which is basically any blockchain, and any blockchain, public or private, is almost, I would say it's almost guaranteed to be distributed, because it's going, if you have more than one copy of the blockchain, it's distributed. So any transfer of value on a distributed ledger will be likely infringing on the patent that's now been, the 2 patents that's now been issued by both Japan and the United States for Veritasium. So what that means is that it's not just a monetary exchange either, because the phrasing Reggie uses is very specific, as I think I mentioned in the video, in the clip there, that the transfer of value could be information, could be data, could be anything that's deemed to be valuable. It doesn't have to be like a monetary reward. It could, obviously the easy ones are like mining rewards, staking rewards, a peer-to-peer transaction on that particular blockchain. That blockchain would have to have a license to use this intellectual property now. So patents are very, very, very valuable. I say very a lot. It's typical in this video, but they're very valuable in this space. You have some projects that have a bunch, like Theta. That's the only project I knew of with more than one. I guess you could say Veritasium has 2 now, because you have international and US, you have Japan and the United States. But the point is that it goes beyond crypto. So I know that Bix did do a video yesterday, and he talked about how this is impacting all of DeFi. Yes, Reggie did patent DeFi essentially, because DeFi wasn't even a term back then. But this goes beyond just DeFi. This goes to any transfer of value. It could be any blockchain that's sharing data that's distributed, any distributed ledger that transfers value. So that language, while intentionally vague but very specific in both ways, the breadth of that term value gives the credibility and the enforcement of that patent very, very strong. It's going to be, has a lot of legal power. So you could be looking at a lot of institutional banks and finance entities that use blockchain. Anyone that uses blockchain essentially in the last 5-7 years is going to need a license, because now Reggie owns the patent for transferring value. And the purpose of a blockchain really is to record value. So just like writing down transactions, writing down information, all that is value. So transferring that value is going to be significant. So therefore, based on what that 2-page document, the VERI token is probably going to be a discounted license in effect. So if you operate, you will owe a licensing fee to Veritasium, could be on an annual basis, could be based on the number of transactions, whatever. But you'll probably get a discount based on the number of VERI tokens that you own, which means that Cliff High could very well be right. And his Alta reports where he said Veritasium would be on par value with Bitcoin could actually prove out to be true. So while this is not financial advice, of course, and I've given all the disclosures. I own Veritasium tokens. I've purchased them. I've held them for a while. I've bought more. I am on the Veritasium DAO, but that gives me no special information about the project. I've liked the project for years. I think it's a great idea. And this could have essentially replaced a lot of the marketplaces that exist like now, like the stock exchanges, the futures markets, all these markets where people do electronic transfers of, or electronic exchanges of coins or value or whatever. All those are now going to owe something to the Veritasium project. So the fact that the price is still, it went over $100 last night. I think it hit $200. The all-time high is, I did check that, it was like almost $500. It could eclipse that number. It could eclipse that number rapidly, because as more and more of this information gets out, and we see that, that there's legitimacy now to the claim that Veritasium owns essentially DeFi and owns the transfer of value, we're going to have large companies that are going to need to own Veritasium tokens to operate their blockchains. So this coin, even though it's only 2 million of them that are in circulation, and pure speculation on what happens to the other 98 million, the SEC may have to return them, because in the SEC's claims and their documentation in the ruling, that said that they didn't give much validity to the claims of the patents that were filed by Reggie. Well, that turned out to be not the case. So now he's got the patents. So now he can enforce a lot of this. So he could easily go back to the SEC and say, hey, you owe me back the coins and also other things. So the value of these coins could go up significantly. Again, not financial advice, just one guy's opinion on the internet. But I've done my homework. I've looked at this project for years. I followed Reggie Middleton. I understand the project. It's one of my favorite projects. And I trust what Cliff High said. And Cliff High, it's not just speculation on Cliff High's part. He does do his auto reports, got the sentiment of the verbiage that's on the internet. And there is a real validity that, that the government various governments could say, hey, we need you to set up a legitimate exchange of value. So there's no rehypothecation of shares. There's no shady business going on. And when the ruling came out from the SEC, I believe that Reggie was talking about Jamaica and also Germany about setting up new exchanges over there. So the path was starting to be forged there. Now it's going to be on again. So probably won't happen overnight, like nothing ever does, it seems. But overnight, last night, significantly, I think a 300% increase to the value of Veritasium tokens. I have no idea what the price is right now. And when this airs, who knows what it's going to be. Maybe I'll be in the chat room. We can talk about it. But for the most part, I just wanted to share what's going on with Veritasium, because there's not a lot of information out there, even in YouTube, from various influencers like anyone, except for Bix. What I found from Bix yesterday was, again, shout out to Bix for coming out and documenting it. But I'm going to share this with the Veritasium group. I'm going to share this on my YouTube channel. I recommend that you share this far and wide, because this is a significant patent that will influence a large number of projects, maybe most, if not all, because every blockchain is going to have to get this license more than likely. So lots said today. There's a lot going on there. I encourage you to go and do your own homework, do your own research. I think it's Veritasium Official is the Telegram group if you want to find out more. The patents are linked there. Information is there. But it's rest assured that Veritasium has the patents. They own the rights to this intellectual property. Intellectual property has a lot of value, and that value could easily be transferred and correlated to the value of the Veritasium token. So very good news for Veritasium. So with all that said, I'm going to close the Drill Bureau and say, once again, be sure to follow the leader, and I'll see you next time.